Hello, it's Monday, and we're back here live at RCO Network talking about your Phoenix housing market. This is Monday Market 15, the only 15-minute show that takes about 30 minutes to get through, sometimes a little bit more, depending on my co-host. My lovely co-host is Ashley Miller. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Ashley Miller with Great American Title here in the house.
That's right. Great American Title here with RCO Network. And me, Robert Morales, coming together to
we could all
explore.
come together. This wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for you.
Oh, really? Oh.
There's so much. I'm going to tell you, there's so much that goes behind this. So you see all the equipment and the computers and the boards and the soundboards and the lighting. It takes a lot. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. I try to be ambient and create an environment where we can just flourish in the information we're about to deliver our audience today.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
I do.
Again, so we bring you information regarding the Phoenix housing market. So if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit that like button here on YouTube. With that, subscribe. Give us a little heart. Give us a little love because we love you and we love it when you love us.
And a purple heart in the comments because purple's my favorite color and I love hearts.
Yeah, so if you want to throw a purple heart up there. Purple. Yeah, I'm all over the place today. Today's been kind of a crazy day. So we got all this information. We've been going back and forth. Like, what do we talk about today? What direction we take the show today? And we're just said, screw it. We're going to go on and provide you what information we can because we have about 15, 30 something minutes to do it.
Well, because there's so much information that's flooding every day. And it's like we want to talk about, we can't even keep up with the information that the news is delivering to us. But we are blessed to have access to a lot of information that not everyone else has access to. But what I love, as we were trying, each week we try to come up with a fun, innovative name. And we always sit right before the show and we go through our notes and, okay, what are we going to call it? What are we going to call it? And I loved Robert's name for today. Welcome to
San Francisco, Arizona.
San Francisco, Arizona.
We're changing the dynamics of our city, man. It's just crazy. So I'll throw up the first article that I found. Phoenix homes is on track to break records this week, and housing market booms. If you read this article, we're about $100,000 median price from San Francisco, LA, and some of the other West Coast cities like Portland and Seattle. Yeah. We're not that far from the median price of those homes, which is crazy and amazing at the same time.
I'm looking, this says, we're a poster child for foreclosures in crisis. You guys, we're not in crisis.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're in crisis.
We're not in crisis. And that's one thing that I feel like the news, it's like a virus. It's telling us that we're in this huge downpour of a crisis. We're not in a crisis. Yes, if we go back to the analogy for San Francisco, as you said, we're only $100,000 away from the median income of, is it income? Of
median sales price.
Sales price. I apologize, not income.
I check her. I check her
sales
facts.
price of San Francisco and LA, because in Arizona, our median income is only $53,000 per person. So think about that.
I'll bring that up actually. I did pull some stats regarding median income in Arizona, which is a reflection of GDP, Arizona's GDP. And let me pull that up real quick. Our housing sector should reflect our income sections. When we have a 46% decrease in jobs in hospital and leisure and hospitality, as you go down the list, you can see decreases from 2019 to 2020. Our biggest non-job farm numbers are down 90%. So your median income right now is $53,000 a year.
But that has gone up though. Yeah, which is good. So we have to start looking at the positive of what's happening in our economy right now. Our income is going up, but yes, our housing is going up. So we kind of have to find that flow. Like, how are we going? And I think the challenge is that Arizona was so low, that everything was so affordable that we weren't saving. We were doing more leisurely things.
Well, I'd say Arizona is more leisurely based, right? You got golf. Golf
and more golf. No, but we do just like yesterday I took my son, he turned 15, my middle one, and I took all of his friends to Urban Air. By the way, you guys, I'm going to tout Urban Air right now in Peoria, Arizona, near the Peoria complex. That place is the bomb. It was amazing. Urban Air, the indoor go-karting, zip lines, jumpy things. I put on some socks and I cruised around. It was amazing. However, I'm blessed that I do have a little bit of that extra income to do things like that. So I think what we were speaking about is how are we managing our money, and creating or preparing ourselves to be able to change with the way the market is changing. I read a quote from Epstein. It said, all hands on deck, meaning not just you as a consumer, not just me in title, not just Robert as a real estate agent, but your financial advisor or your CPA or your mom and your dad, your family members. Like, how are we organizing our finances in order to afford the new San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean, the prices of the houses have extraordinarily gone up. We have an increase in population growth, and only 11% increase in housing since 2010. Our population growth is double essentially what our housing has been built. And so that's been, the biggest challenge, I think, in the past year is just that we haven't had enough houses for the number of people who have coming here.
What I find interesting is I was reading an article earlier that said, oh, this young family, they moved from California to Arizona and they're not able to afford it. Well, why are you moving to Arizona? If you're going from California to Arizona, you think it's going to be cheaper? It's not
golf?
Right now.
Golf?
I'm pretty sure a single mom of 5 kids is not going to be bringing her kids out here to golf. But why are, and that's not to be negative, but like, why are people moving from California to Arizona knowing that they can't afford Arizona? There are plenty of other beautiful places you can live. And I know, born and raised almost 40 years. Like, I love this place. I'm not leaving. In fact, I want to buy a place in California. However, and Montana, we already talked about that. But why do we have such an influx of people wanting to move to Arizona? And now it's changing the way we or the capability to purchase a home. Why are they, no offense to you as a real estate agent or me as in title, because we rely on these people to buy places, but I think it's a mentality thing.
Yeah.
People are like, Arizona, 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 and now everyone's coming to Arizona and they're like, oh, nobody can afford Arizona. Well, then don't move here. Not in a mean way.
Well, and I think the idea is still good in the fact that, the cost of living there and the housing prices there are, over a third of what they are here. And when they come here, they're able to afford more, a bigger house for the money that they're getting. But they just met with a significant supply issue, and that's really the issue right now is just supply.
Well, and prepping themselves, what does that actually look like? Numbers is it on paper? And you guys, as if you've watched our show before, I'm like a planner. I have Excel spreadsheets, like planning when things are due, how much they are, the due dates for each one, when they're coming out of my bank account. Like, I just am. So are we prepping ourselves? Are people prepping themselves?
Yeah.
And even people who've lived here, who currently live here, with taxes changing, even I may have mentioned this, I think last week, about our my insurance guy for the homes, like even insuring your home, because homes are now, if it burnt down tomorrow, the cost to repair it versus what we owe. Yeah. There's so many things to think about, but don't get overwhelmed. Just put it on paper. That's the easiest way. If you're a tactile person like I am, like I always have paper, put it on paper and really analyze the situation.
Yeah. And I think the thing to put out there to put some cautionary advisement out there. A lot of these internet companies are purchasing homes at a high dollar and then selling them at a high dollar. So a good example from this weekend, I had 2 houses list in my my condo subdivision. So I bought my condo for about $85,000, and currently the comps in the area are around 190.
Great, yeah.
I bought it about 5 years ago. So I'm actually doing really good. So I'm really happy about that situation. But I did see that a couple internet companies bought a couple units in my subdivision and have posted them for 290. Mm-hmm. So 100,000 well over their comparative price. Yeah. And so I'm seeing that more and more common places. I'm seeing a lot more of these internet companies that are purchasing these units and then putting them on exaggerated prices. Of course, they're longer days on market. Some of these houses are like 30, 60, even 90 days on market because they're overpriced. But you have people coming from out of town that see like, oh, I'm buying a condo here for $300,000. Back home, I was getting something half the size for double the money, And so that's a cautionary note as you're coming from out of state or as you're coming here to visit. That's something you should be very conscientious of.
And we can't be mad at them. They're making a very educated decision. I agree. So one of the stats you gave me or we chatted about was non-bank purchasers or non-bank mortgages is at 60%.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and put that up there too, real quick.
And I want to bring this up. So anybody who's on here, not like I need a raise of hands, who may be fighting.
If you can raise your hands,
raise your hand.
if Ashley can actually see your hand raised as she's watching you on here, that'd be amazing.
With things that we've all gone through so much, you guys, so much this past year and a half, almost 2 years now. Think about it. I mean, we're going to hit August soon. Like, that's just crazy. Like, at the end of the year, we're going to hit our 2-year mark of this craziness. But we've gone, job loss, foreclosure. So if you are in a situation where you're going through foreclosure or your home's about to go for an auction and you have what they call a cash investor or cash buyer, or I learned a new word, BlackRock, which is a company where they just come in and buy it, or you may just have somebody who just has money. In my opinion, that not to get angry, upset. I'm sure your phone is blowing up. You're getting text messages like crazy. Buy. I'll buy your house for cash. I'll buy your house for cash. So again, not a financial advisor, but just from somebody who's experienced a foreclosure back in 2007. I wish I would have had a cash buyer for my home when I had to put my home up for auction. They even slap this big old fat sticker on your window, and it's embarrassing because everyone can see it, and you're like, there's nothing you can do. And then it goes to foreclosure and then auction, and they sell it off, and you're like, oh gosh, if I just would have had maybe a cash buyer to even come in and buy it, and then maybe I could rent it back from them for a certain amount of time, but not to get angry at the people that are reaching out to you to buy it for cash. Like, yeah, it sucks that they have more money, and it sucks we're going through what we're going through, but I would rather have somebody buy it for cash and have the opportunity to rent it back, or give me kind of a leeway to move forward, and then it's not going to ruin my credit. So now I can still rent an apartment, another house, and I can buy in less than 3 years again. Because if you foreclose, what's the rule? It's like three years, right?
On a foreclosure, well, it depends. If there's a bankruptcy tied into that, it could be 5 years. I don't know the specifics. I don't remember.
But it's amount of time. So now you're putting yourself in a situation where you may not even be able to rent an apartment or even rent from another place. So
because it does hit your credit.
It does. And
in an environment where, a lot of landlords are being very picky on who they select as their tenants.
They are. So when a cash buyer comes in, I get it. We don't want cash buyers to come in and take over, the new San Francisco, Arizona. However, I would rather have somebody hand me cash than go into foreclosure, because I experienced that. I mean, think about 2007 to 21. That was 13 years ago?
Yeah, just about. Yeah. I mean, it is scary. It is daunting. When I did, we almost had to do that as well, but we leveraged a renter. So we had a renter go in there. We were losing about $200 a month for nearly, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years. And then we finally, the market finally caught up about roughly about 4 or 5 years after that. Yeah. And I was thankfully able to sell that house for $1,000.
Hey.
I had to pay to have somebody take that house. And I was at that point where it's like, I was so thankful.
Would you pay $1,000 to not have a foreclosure on your credit?
Absolutely, yeah.
100%. So we can't be scared of these cash buyers. And we can't be scared to go into foreclosure. We have to think logically. And it's really, really hard to think logically when you're going through such financial turmoil. I know that.
Well, I'm sure, that's one perspective. I mean, but to be in the house with your family, looking at your kids and telling them, hey, we can't be here anymore because, I didn't pay the mortgage, and, I may not have enough food for the week. There's so many other things that you're involved in, reaching out to somebody like us or your lender or somebody that is in finances to kind of to have a source to hopefully that you trust to get you through those weird emotions.
Well, let me tell you, I'm going to go into a little bit of this. So I bought the house. The house I ended up foreclosing on, it was the home I was born in and grew up in. And I bought it. And I lost it. Talk about emotional turmoil. I now own my new house 2 miles away. I drive by that house every single day. Every single day. I see it because it's on Thunderbird, and I live on Thunderbird. I drive by it. And I just think, and it reminds me, like, oh my gosh, where I was in 2007. If I had only known then what I know now and would have taken advice from somebody like me who is talking and said, just allow a cash buyer to come in and beg and plead. Like, I was trying to remodel it. My boys were little. They were 1 and 2. Yeah. what I would have done to still be in the house right now. I'm going to get the house back. I always tell you guys, I think I told you that in like the first episode. Sometimes we just have to be humble again and just suck it up and know we have to have that heart to heart with our family and say, you know what? It's if somebody's going to come in and offer me a cash offer and know that that might be a few dollars in our pocket and we'll figure it out. I'm not touting I'm not touting open door or offer up or anything. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah. I think
analyze all your opportunities.
Yeah, I think the takeaway in that is to talk to somebody that's in that industry or something similar to industry to kind of have a voice and not be shy and not be kind of thwarted from having that discussion because you're embarrassed for whatever reason.
And you can't be embarrassed in this market. And one of the cool things, I don't know if you guys know this, but real estate agents can actually help you find rentals.
Yes. They choose not to, which is very frustrating.
They do choose not to.
Yeah, I help everybody.
Yeah.
And even to my own detriment. And the main reason being that realtors and real estate agents kind of avoid having to show rentals is because you don't make that much money. I mean, that comes down to dollars and cents. It doesn't necessarily make sense for an agent to take you out on 40 different houses when they're going to spend about $200 in gas, and that's really how much they make.
$200.
And then, well, it varies. About, yeah. So, I mean, sometimes you can. The most I've ever made was like $400 on a rental. That's before the broker takes the fees, and so you might end up with $100. But to me, it's important about the relationship. I want to make sure that somebody finds a good home, and then the potential is, and it's not always happened, but the potential is that they come and use me to purchase later on.
There's a country song called "This Is Not My This Is My Temporary Home."
Yeah,
when you involve a real estate agent like Robert in it, and again with Robert saying that it's not about the money, because then you stay connected, and he can work with you and eventually find you another place.
Yeah, and that's
just building that relationship.
Yeah, and the motivation again is to see somebody just find a stable place. I was helping a woman straight out of California, didn't know the areas, and we finally found her a rental basically after about 2 months of looking. And I told her, this isn't the best place for you or where you want to be, but it's just for now. And thankfully, you're not staying in an Airbnb, because she was staying in an Airbnb for nearly 3 weeks, which was extraordinarily expensive. And luckily, again, we found her a place, and she recently called me. It's only been 3 months. Yeah. She's like, I really don't like this place. I'm like, yes, I know. And I can't apologize because it's really the market. Right. But I said, just if we can stick with it, and work towards getting your credit score up, we can get you into a purchase hopefully next year as this market shifts.
Well, and that's a great point. So with going, I'm just going to do a quick backtrack. If you have a cash buyer that comes in, your home is going to foreclosure, the cash person comes in, don't overanalyze it. At the end of the day, who cares? They're saving your credit. You're not going to go to foreclosure. You call Robert. He puts you into rental, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Interest rates are low. They're going to stay the same, you guys. They're going to float.
Well, let me show you.
Robert thinks they're going to go down to the negative. I think he's batshit crazy, by the way.
Hold on a second.
However, I don't know. I mean, in all of my years of being in this industry, this is the craziest I've ever seen it.
So the U.S. Treasury, the 10-year U.S. Treasury is loosely based on mortgage interest rates.
Right.
And so if you look at the rates, let me get in here. This is 1981. This is the highest it's been. If you look at
when I was born, yeah.
So the highest it's been is about 13.85% in 1981. And I don't have to really show you much on this chart other than just what you visually see, this declining 10-year U.S. Treasury. It's gone up and down, but if you look at the whole picture, it's going all the way down. So what direction do you believe it's going to go? Because it can go up. If the interest rate goes up, then growth and lending are halted. Nobody's borrowing money if their interest rates are high.
Right.
And right now in this economy, we need to build our economy. We can't allow for our economy just to trudge along, especially after this last year.
We need to take control of our economy.
Yes.
Take control. Allow. Just, what is it called when you just kind of lay down and you just throw your hands up in the air? You
like you just don't care.
Not being submissive, but
vulnerable.
When you just kind of all right, I'm just gonna give in. Allow, if you are in that situation, to just let go. Allow Robert to help you, and then come up with a 6, 9, 12-month plan to move forward, because these rates are going to stay the same. We're allowing everyone else to control our financial future. If we start paying attention, and it's almost like we as an economy can become the disruptor. Yeah. Let's disrupt this economy.
Well, the challenge too is, again, following your narrative. If you believe one thing, you're going to find enough stuff. I mean, I think there's a conspiracy on these phones where they can hear every single thing you talk about. And and so if you believe the economy is booming and it's gonna increase, you're gonna find news articles and all these things that say that everything fits your narrative. And then if you're a conspiracy theorist, I am partially. If you're a conspiracy theorist, then you're gonna find all the negative things about this economy, and then that's gonna pop up in your phone, and it like self feeds in there. So the hard part is like following that narrative. Because once you start, going down that road, it just continues on. The road like starts developing in front of you, and then all of a sudden, the whole world is either going to boom and be full of thrills, or it's going to bust and be full of like this apocalypse of an economy. I don't know. Nobody can predict that. A year ago, nobody could predict the stock prices as of today, and it's going crazy. And now again, we're in that kind of fear area where we don't know where things are going. So we're going to listen to the people that say yes, listen to people say no, and really not do any research, and that's the toughest part, is like conveying a message to people who really don't do research. And then because they don't do research, they hold on to your opinion and say, well, you told me this, or this guy told me this. Dave Ramsey said I had to pay all my debt off, and look where I'm at. There's a lot of narratives out there, and it's really what you want to believe, but really do the research. That's really what it comes down to.
It is. And
we do a lot of research.
We do a lot of research.
We bring you the research.
And finding the right partners, finding a team.
We bring you the right research here at RCO Network every week.
I forgot my glasses.
Oh, sorry. So we're about 10 more minutes to go.
Well,
but if you like what you're seeing, please hit those love buttons. Get that purple heart emoji. I still haven't seen that come up yet. Because Ashley's still waiting. If you want to put that purple heart out there, Ashley's still waiting for you to do that.
I am. I feel very, very strongly about people out there who are struggling.
Yep.
I really, really do. And I'm noticing, as you stated last week, there's more counter offers. There's a little bit more malleability with offers that are coming to you.
Yep.
So making sure you have those correct conversations. So this is actually a true fact. We have an attention span less than a goldfish.
6 seconds. Or 5 seconds, something like that.
Well, goldfish, I believe, is 8 seconds, and we're about 6. We've got to stop and slow down and pay attention to what's happening. Not listening. If you guys have cable and you turn on the news every night, literally cut those cable lines. Done.
Oh.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Because what is cable? Cable news is there to feed you like, at 5 o'clock, we're going to have whatever. I don't know. I don't watch the news. I don't even know what to say anymore. But
I don't watch
and then
the
all
news.
of a sudden you're like, I got to turn on the TV at 5 o'clock because I don't know what's going on. They're constantly feeding you all of this negative information.
Or misleading, I would say.
Misleading. Negative,
well, to fit whatever narrative. Because remember, these conglomerates and these news organizations are paid by somebody.
Right.
And if they were all like neutral, if they were all like,
happy news, like a little puppy up for adoption.
I mean, if they were all, without, I guess, looking at the same thing at the same time, reporting all the same, then you wouldn't have deviations in news reporting. You wouldn't have a CNN versus a Fox versus a CNBC. There's so many different ways you can look at things, and that's a detriment to you because, again, they're just kind of feeding whatever narrative you choose to listen to.
One of the other things I was looking at, so deciding, I know we all want to live in a certain area of town. Gilbert's like supposed to be one of the safest for families, and there's Chandler, Mesa, Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. So, and Chandler's up 43%, Mesa 43, Fountain Hills 47, Scottsdale 51, Paradise Valley 59.
What are you looking at again?
Just stats of where certain zip codes, like 85254, 85255, Scottsdale, the percentages. But we need to kind of maybe start looking on the outskirts.
Like what, Queen Creek and
Santan Valley, Queen Creek,
Lake Pleasant.
Tolson. Morristown.
Oh, Morristown. I knew that was coming. She's really pushing that Morristown.
I don't know why. Like, it's just, when you just have this like gut feeling, like women, our superpowers are intuition. It is. But so I know we all want to live in a certain area. I was like, I'm only going to live within my 5 mile square radius. And I do, because my kids have grown up. I grew up there. My mom grew up there. I grew up there. Like, that was just kind of, and I just made it happen because I believe.
You grew up in Morristown?
No. In North Phoenix. Like, okay. I haven't left like my 5 mile square radius. So it is devastating for those families out there. They're like, oh my gosh, we've been here for so long. This is where we want to be. This is where we're raising our kids. But sometimes we have to just like take it all in and just move further out, because you could get that bigger house, more bedrooms, make new friends, kids start a new school, like start over. And I'm saying this because if somebody told me this, I'd be like, yeah, not happening. But we have to change our mentality. And that's what you were saying earlier. It's like the psychology of real estate right now and the manifestation. Like, stop listening to the negative, start thinking about the positive. And it is psychology. Like, well,
and this is what I told somebody that actually this morning, who is in the middle of either buying an investment or buying it as a personal home. Right. And I told him, don't look at it that way. Let me know what you want first. Mm-hmm. Do you want this as an investment or do you want it as a personal home? And he's like, I really don't know.
Or is his original home?
He lives with his mom. Okay. But he also has a condo on the side. So again, he's very investment minded, but again, he's in that kind of flux in his life. And, and I think it really comes down to is indecision. You really have to like lay down what your portfolio is, what your incomes are, what your revenue streams are, and what your goals are in the next 5-10 years. It's amazing what you do if you treat yourself like a business. If you treat your money like a business,
have to.
It's crazy what can come about, and your direction and the decisions you make will ultimately either acquire properties, and you have to make decisions, and it allows you to make those decisions real time versus anticipating the future. Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be good? There's so many things until you decide what direction you're going to head into or what direction you want to, as far as like a personal investment or as a primary home. Then that really dictates the day and your decisions for that day, because they could change tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, I have a challenge. This is fun.
Uh-oh. You got 2 minutes for a challenge.
Okay. So my challenge is anybody who is looking to can private message.
Do you want a challenge music?
Sure.
We got a challenge coming up here. Ashley Miller, Great American Title, Challenge of the Day.
No, this is a really cool challenge. So usually we do a contest.
Okay, now get that on.
But this is going to be my challenge. So anybody who is out there who is trying to figure out their trajectory, their future, whether it's you're buying a home, living with your mom and buying an investment property, it doesn't matter, your story. I think that anybody who is willing to put this down on a big dry erase board and say, I am willing to commit, I will Amazon ship you a dry erase board and dry erase markers.
Oh, dang.
And your challenge is, I will give it to you, and I want you to write down, this is my income, this is vulnerable, this is what's going out, this is what's coming in, and this is what I see my future looking like.
And you have to screenshot it and send it to Ashley.
You have to send it to me. So my dry erase board, it's in my office at work. It's like, I don't know, it's like 5.5 feet by 3.5. It's big. And I write all over it, and I'm constantly moving and changing it. But when you see numbers in front of you daily, you're constantly reminded, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. So anybody who's willing to say, hey, put your hands in the air, like, it's hard to be vulnerable and say, I need freaking help. Yeah. And it's hard to look at real raw numbers. We just swipe our debit card, or we just pay our bills. I don't know if you guys check your bank account every day, or an OCD like me who checks like 10 times a day, which you guys should, because there's a lot of fraud out there.
I check my stocks 10 times a day.
Wow. Started. But I will. Anybody who's willing to say, hey, Ash, Robert, like, I am ready to change my financial future with my home. Yeah. So whether it is you rent and you want to purchase, you're in a home that might be going to foreclosure and you're trying to figure out the next step, or you're in a home and you possibly want to buy it, or sell it and buy a new one. Yeah. Like, whatever your financial future looks like when it comes to home purchasing your finances, I will Amazon ship you a dry erase board and probably a purple marker because that's my favorite color.
That's right. Ash's Challenge of the Day, brought to you by Great American Title.
Now,
what do they have to do to? So they get a. Let me get that off. They get a dry erase board shipped to them. But again, what do they have to do?
So first,
what are the qualifying?
I want them to message us and say, "I'm ready. I'm ready to make a change in my financial future." Again, a change from renting to purchasing, or in a situation where they may be up for foreclosure, or they're in a home that they're looking to downsize or upsize, but they're not sure because they're like, does this financially make sense for my family to move? Any major financial decision. So I want them to raise their hand or message. Well, you don't have to physically raise your hand in the comment.
Actually, put a comment there, I'm ready, and then we'll put your name in a hat, and next week, and we'll draw the winner.
Or they can private message you and be like, here's a situation.
DM
and then DM.
Why don't you DM me?
But I think it's so important to have that hanging on the wall and see it visually every day. It's in your face. When you want to go buy something or do something, you're like, no, this is my goal. My goal is to save 10% of my income each paycheck. And then you write it down and you're watching it and you're seeing it. There's a reminder constantly of their future goals. I want to help people make future financial goals and stop and turn off the news. Cutting your cable.
So if you're ready, Great American Title, Ashley Miller is throwing out a contest, y'all. Go ahead and DM us here at RCO Network, our Ashley Miller.
Just Ashley Miller.
Ashley Miller.
It's just
I was going to say .com, but I don't think you have a
.com. No, it's ASHLE Miller.
It's just fun to say, AshleyMiller.com. But
no, don't go there, because that's a blogger, like, horse gal from another state.
Oh.
She stole my .com.
Oh, never mind. So again, if you want to DM us for that contest, it's nearly the end of the show, Miss. Believe that? 30 minutes already.
I know, it goes so fast.
I'm sad.
And I don't believe, I know that Robert and I do this show to educate you guys on the market and to make very strong, powerful financial decisions, even when you feel really vulnerable, because that's what we're about. We're about being real, raw, and vulnerable. And if you guys stop paying for cable, you'll save like $160 a month, and that can go towards your house fund, by the way. I think it's $160.
So the 100th I'm ready message that we get, we'll get Ashley Miller's login ID for Netflix, because they just canceled their cable subscription.
I have not had cable in like 10 years.
Everybody has Netflix.
I do. Yeah. I'll give you my login.
Oh.
Do they have like a universe plan?
I
can
don't
have
know.
more than 6 people?
No, I don't know. I think they're getting harsh on those.
I know. You only get like 6 devices.
I know. But anyway, what is your biggest takeaway from the show? It was just to dismiss as we're winding down.
Actually, everyone comment what their biggest takeaway is. I'd love to hear everyone's comment on their biggest takeaway. Mine is allowing people to help you, being vulnerable. Stop thinking that cash buyers are these like hedge funds and BlackRock and Open Door and OfferPad, and listen to the reason why somebody wants to buy your property and know that they're purchasing it to help you, and allow people to help you. And it's okay to not be okay, because you will turn out better in the future. Our median income is going up. All hands on deck, meaning bring in your financial advisor, your title person, your real estate agent, your CPA, your family members, and don't be scared. I mean,
don't be scared.
What's your takeaway?
And so again, it's just go to a trusted source when it comes to some of these issues and some of these concerns. The reason we brought it up is the eviction ban is coming to an end towards the end of the week. And so the concern, and we brought this up at our RCO number committee meeting, the reason we reached out to help the homeless for our event last week is because we anticipate there could be some shifts in the market regarding renting, regarding housing. And I know some people out there are probably concerned and AKA scared about what the next couple of weeks are going to look like, what the next couple of months look like. There are resources out there. And I think the biggest shame is for people not to say, hey, you know what, I screwed up, or hey, I have a situation and I just need help. And hopefully, we're getting out there and connecting with people to show the resources, especially with help. I think help is one of those things where you just, is an organization where they're helping people kind of get past that, give them inspiration. And so if you're a part of our RCO network, we can give you information about help the homeless services, and some of the things so you're not out on the streets or living in a car. That's the biggest concern I have right now. So it's,
and if that does come up, you guys, please DM one of us, whether it's Robert, RCO network, or myself. We're very involved in the community, very involved with the homeless. So if it gets that, I hate to use the word dark, as much as we talk about real estate in a home and all of this, like if it ever gets that bad, like we're okay with you guys being vulnerable with us. We'll figure it out. We have a lot of resources. So
we're here. So coming up to the end of the show, we're going to be here next week, bringing you more information about the Phoenix housing market. Rob Marlis, RCO Network, with Ashley Miller, Great American Title. She is the greatest and the bestest, and I appreciate her being here every week. So thank you, Miss Ash.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next week.